Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video, this is all about prep. Prep. I thought I'd do something a little bit different. So this may be very, very boring for some people, or some people may be going, actually, that's really helpful. I like that. Yeah, because the actual infill part of what I'm doing, I'm just putting clear down. There's nothing exciting going on. I'll show you a little snippet of me doing my thumb. Why? Well, partly because most of it didn't record. But to be honest, like I said, there's nothing interesting going on. And, you know, I had some comments about, you know, filing and, you know, different things. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to mix it up a little bit and show you how I prep my nails. So this is for an infill. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off the gems. These are just some really old cuticle nippers. And even so, it's still quite hard doing it on yourself, to be honest. Especially when you're trying to hold your finger in place at the same time as doing it, which you can't do when you're trying to do it off these bits. I do slip in a minute, but don't worry, I don't actually hurt myself. That's the other good thing about these nippers, is they're really, really small and they're not sharp. They're only there just literally to break the chi gel. I do have some much bigger ones if I'm using bigger gems. But I'm trying to hold my nail at the same time. As you can tell, I get cramp in my fingers as well. These held on really, really well. As you can tell, even the little caviar beads, the only ones I lost were right at the edges. So if you remember the set before, just right on the tip, I had some curving round, and just round the left-hand side, I had some just coming over a little bit more. And those were the only ones I lost. Everything else was still exactly as it was, which, I mean, look at the growth on these. These are a good 3 weeks, if not possibly more, since I last did my nails. So my technique works quite well. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to come in and I'm going to shape these up a little bit. Now, this is the last time I'm going to infill these nails. I will then take them right back. The reason being is, like I say, my index finger and also my middle finger tend to take quite a bit of a beating. And what happens is I actually end up with like a little, it's like a little chunk missing out the side of my nail. So, you know, when you look at your sidewall profile, where it is on the end of my natural, my nail bed, and the tip are all in line with each other, but then there's just a chunk missing, which just happens from the damage of filing other people's nails. I knacker my own nails. You can kind of see it on the index finger, just quite how wrong it's gone. So what I'm going to do next time is I'm going to take these all the way back to the clear layer. I probably won't even soak them all off, to be honest, because there's not really, you know, that much point. You want to keep something on there. But then what I will do is, see, yeah, poor thing, it's well and truly. So I always have to file it down a little bit shorter than the rest to try and get back the square end. But then what I will do, I'll actually put a form underneath that just to build that back out again, which I potentially should have done this time, but I just wasn't going to take all of it down. I couldn't be bothered, to be perfectly honest. I really couldn't be bothered. And I just wanted to get the maintenance done, because it kind of got to the point where I'm going, I actually have to do this now. I can't not do it, because I'm going to end up snapping these, you know, or lifting them off. We're at a critical point. I've got to do something. So yeah, a little bit of an infill. So all I'm doing is I'm just sorting out the shape a little bit. I'm taking down the length just a little bit, because, you know, I'm quite happy with my length. I know I kept saying, oh no, I don't really want really long nails now, but they are actually really long compared to most people's nails anyway. So right, I'm just going to finish off with the hand file, and then I'm going to move on to my e-file to take all the rest off. This is a coarse carbide safety bit. I've got it on between 9 to 10,000 RPMs, so really not a strong speed. I do not touch the natural nail at all. Now, when I e-file myself, I actually like to have the nail kind of pointing towards me because then I can see what I'm doing. And I just find that it's an easier position when you're working on yourself because you have to hold your finger in place, and just having your finger out, I'm not doing a very good at the job of describing this, but when you're e-filing somebody else, you're holding on to their finger. But when you're doing it on yourself, you can't do that. So having your fingers, you kind of end up in some weird and wonderful positions. So I do file towards myself as well, but I like to look down the barrel as well because it just makes it easier to see how much I've got to take off either side. But we're mainly concentrating on where the apex was. But because we've taken down the length, we've made the end thicker. So you do have to file a little bit of that off as well. So as you can see, I am not touching the natural nail at all. I'm keeping my e-file bit nice and straight because all I'm trying to do is just take down the bulk. We're not taking it all the way back to the clear layer. And I'm not doing any of the natural nail prep with this bit. I will come in with a mandrel bit with a, I think it's a medium grit, or it might be a fine grit. I think it's fine actually, a fine sanding band, because I don't need anything harsh. It's just then to get rid of the little bits of any lifting and just to etch the natural nail and make sure there's no more cuticle left on the nail plate before we come in with the next bit. Now, I'm one of these weird people. I actually really enjoy watching people file. So yeah, I've talked through this one, but I will just kind of let you watch the rest. There you go. I've got finger cramp now, so I just have to stretch my fingers a little bit. And I'm just going to do exactly the same on each one. I'm not putting any pressure down. I'm just letting the e-file do its thing. It's a weird one because you can't see how much pressure I'm putting on, but I'm really not. I'm just kind of making contact with it and just letting the e-file do what it needs to do. And obviously using a safety bit means I've got less chance of actually decapitating my finger. Or my cuticles, actually. And then when I'm happy with that one, I will move on to the next. So like I say, I'm just going to do exactly the same thing to all the rest of the nails. So you can watch that or you can fast forward it if you like. I really don't mind. It's entirely up to you. So now I'm just going to finish off this video. You can see how badly crooked that one is. Bless it. It's one of those. It happens. It's annoying because actually my right hand is all of them. I generally don't have a problem with damaging them, despite the fact it's my dominant hand. But it's never the hand that I record, because it's always harder doing opposite-handed. So I just tend to prefer to record this hand, just because it makes my life a little bit easier. And obviously I've got a extractor underneath. That actually came from Amazon, and it was about 20 quid. So, you know, it's really not expensive, but it does actually do the job quite nicely. I've been quite impressed with that one. So then I'm going to come in. This is my little mushroom, as I call it. This was from Glitter Planet, and it's really, really gentle. Now, I have quite small cuticles. I do obviously a lot of maintenance on mine. They're generally not in bad condition. And what I like about this bit is it kind of does my nail plate, and it does my fold as well, proximal fold. So you see, I can just go over that bit as well and get rid of any dead skin that's on there. So it kind of does it all in one job. Obviously, you can buy cheaper e-file bits from eBay. You know, this isn't a cheap bit, but I find it is very, very gentle. So especially if you're new to this, and I find it does both jobs for me in one go. So that's why I tend to use this one. Whereas if you watch me with my sister, you'll see I use two separate ones. So that's because her cuticles are generally really bad. And they take a lot more work. So for that, I tend to use the ball bit over the top just to help get rid of those. Just because I found with this one, it doesn't work if there's a lot of dead skin there, and you know, it's a real tricky bit. Now this is in a forward motion, and I am at about 3,000 RPMs, 3.5 maybe. So really, really gentle speed, because you don't need anything aggressive for this, especially not when you're near your natural nail. And normally you go in forward and reverse. So if I was, say, doing my sister's nails, I do one side in forward, and then I come to do the other side in reverse. Because of the way I do my own nails and the angles that I'm at, I don't need to do that, because I'm literally going from one side to the other side, and I'm twisting my hand round. So I don't need to change the, I was going to say polarity, but it's not the polarity, because it's not negative and positive. I don't need to change the direction. That's the one. I knew it would come to me in a moment. So yeah, I changed the angle that I was recording at, so I could see, you know, get nice and in there on the prep. So I thought that would be more helpful. The problem is then when I come to do, so when I'm doing my prep, my hand is sideways, as you can see, in this position. But then when I come to do my application, my hand is generally facing me. So I'm in a completely different place. And yeah, that's how I've missed most of it. It is a little bit of a design fail on this one, on the recording front. Thankfully, I wasn't doing anything too strenuous on this. I'm not even sure I actually recorded all of the design, so I apologise in advance. But I'm basically just using gel polish, chrome and some foils. It's nothing wonderful. Which is why this video is mainly all about the prep. Because I thought that would just be, you know, informative. Because the design part, like I say, is just really, really simple. I really wasn't doing an awful lot. So we're just going to keep coming out. Now I have some bits, I get like really, dry skin's the wrong word, but just right down the sides. So I do come in with it's more of a pointed bit for those towards the end. So once I've finished with this bit, I'm then going to get my mandrel bit. And then we're going to get any little bits of lifting, which I didn't have a lot this time at all, which is good. And then I just use it to etch the natural nail plate. So I like using the mandrel bit because it blends from where the acrylic is to my natural nail. And I always keep it quite flat. So I'm not digging into my natural nail. I'm not putting any pressure on it. Again, we're about 3,000 RPMs. I'm using a fine sanding band, so it really isn't harsh at all. I can assure you, if I was using a hand file, I'd be putting a lot more pressure on myself and would actually probably cause more damage than I do with a e-file. But because if you press down too hard, it stops. So it's kind of like a nice little safety buffer for you because you can't press down hard, if that makes sense. I'm not very good at explaining these things, but hopefully I'm making sense. So there we go. That's them all done. Turn my machine off, give them a clean, and then we're going to swap over to the mandrel bit. Okay, so here we come with the mandrel bit. And like I say, we're just doing it nice and gently. Just going around those lifty bits, just at the edges. I always find if it's going to go, it will be right on those edge bits. So anyway, we're going to clean those up. And then we're just going to buff over the nail plate. And then we will be ready for our application. And then all I do once I've done this is I clean it over with some isopropyl alcohol, just to make sure all the dust is off. And then I'm going to prime it. No, I'm not. I'm going to dehydrate it. I am not using primer because I'm using Max Adhesion from Naio Nails. And I'm also using their Crystal Clear. So obviously, you know, I'm just using a clear product, and that's all I will do is just build it out in clear. Jobs are good and nothing else needs to be done on that. And then I'm just going to do exactly the same to the index finger and the thumb, but we're going to move on. So like I say, I have now sorted them all out. And what I do, I just come along and just wet the nail first, just with some monomer on my brush. So not a lot of monomer, this is just what I've got left over in my brush. And then I'm going to come in with the clear. I'm just going to push that where I need it to be. So get it into the cuticles, tuck that in, bring it round, swipe it down, and then bring the product forward. And then what I do find is I generally just need an extra bead then just in the back, just to re-stabilise that again. Re-stabilise? I don't mean re-stabilise. realign, I think is what I mean. There we go. Just to sort that apex out. And I know it looks a bit weird at the moment because obviously you can still, it still looks like I haven't actually filled it because I've used clear, but I have filled it. There we go. Right, moving on. So I am just going to do my normal filing, which is to do the sidewalls first. Okay, and the other side. Okay, make sure they are nice and straight. So you can see that my file is straight when I'm doing that. Then I will rough up the sides and work my way into the centre. And then I'm just going to do exactly the same on that. But I'm just swapped over there. So the file that I'm using is a 100 and a 180 grit. So I've just swapped to the 180 grit because I'm coming around the cuticles. So I prefer to go down a grit, or up a grit, should I say, just so it's not quite so harsh round that area. And then I can go back to my 100 grit if I then wish. But normally I only use the 100 grit part just to do up the sides and the free edge. Definitely not round the cuticles. It is so damn hard to file your own nails. As you can see, I mean, that is the weirdest position to try and hold a nail. Look at it. It's not comfortable whatsoever. But in case you're wondering how on earth do you file your own pinky, well, this is how I do it. I find that works quite well. But I do have to stretch my fingers out then again, just to make sure. I've still got a lump somewhere in that one, so I do come back to that one again later, I think, because I wasn't happy with it. I do mess around quite a bit, to be honest. I always like to make sure I've got more apex than I necessarily need, because then when I come to file, it means that I've got a bit of playroom, a little margin of error, or forever, should I say. It's just my preference. You know, some people don't, and that's absolutely fine. But I like to just, yeah. So here we go, just doing exactly the same thing again. And try and do the same routine on each nail, and it will help to make sure they all stay together. Stay the same even. It just means it's easier to make it a bit more uniform. And yeah, I'm a terrible at smacking my own nails because I'm trying to hold them and I can't hold them. And yeah, you do end up in some really weird hand positions. There you go, I've got cramp again. Right, so once I've filed them, I will buff them. In fact, actually, I think I completely forgot to buff my nails. But I will clean them over with some acetone just to get rid of any more dust and just to smooth them out a little bit more. Now, moving on to the design part, I have sped this up. I am just using some black polish. Now, I'm going to put black polish on 3 of my nails. The middle finger, my ring finger and my thumb. Now, my middle finger is going to be chrome, and then my other fingers, the other 2 black ones, are actually going to have a cat's eye polish, which is number 9915. It's a Ukiyo gel polish, and you can pick it up from Amazon or eBay, or generally eBay is where I get mine from. So I'm just going to cure this in the lamp. I am using the Urban Graffiti black polish, so it's a 60-second cure, which is why, again, I've sped this video up, because the amount of times I have to cure my nails in between is pretty annoying. I'm going to come in with some top coat. I am using the Naio Nails top coat as well, so the Urban Graffiti one, which is the Mega Gloss. And cure that in the lamp, and so when that comes out, when it's freshly cured, then I'm going to rub some chrome in it. Now, I like to do 2 layers of chrome. So I will rub the chrome in, brush off any excess, top coat it, put it back in the lamp, cure it, then put another layer of chrome over the top. And yeah, I'm terrible. I just use my finger because I just like to. I like to make a mess. And I know you're all looking at me going, why are you making this much mess now? Simple. But at the minute, I haven't top coated any of my other nails, which means if any chrome goes on my other nails, I can easily take it off. If I had top coated those nails, it means I've then got to basically I risk damaging the top coat to try and get the chrome off, because of course it's attracted top coat. So that's why I do it that way round. The other fun part when you do your own nails is, yeah, you can't swap from hand to hand to hand to hand, which is normally how I like to do things. And it's also what I've realised with my sister's nails is suddenly they're taking a lot longer than they used to. And it's because I've been doing one hand at a time instead of switching between one to the other, because I found it wasn't necessarily videoing it right with it being the 2 hands, or, you know, trying to make sure it was a low enough time to actually upload, because an hour and a half is it's quite a long time anyway. But yeah, then she needs toilet breaks and I have to feed her, and, you know, this, that and the other, and it just takes a while. Right, so now I have put some Markartt foil gel on. These foils did not want to play ball for me. And again, I apologise because most of this goes out of shot. But yeah, I'm just going to foil that nail, and I do the same to the index. And what I found was just basically rub it on a little bit and just peel it off, and then just... It's not one way, the more rubbing you do it, the better it sticks. It really just didn't. But thankfully it's a marbly effect anyway, so it really doesn't matter in the slightest. And then, like I say, I just polished the other 2 nails, and I don't know why it didn't record that part. So I am very sorry that it all goes a little bit wrong on the recording at this point. But you do get to see the finished article with a nice picture at the end. And obviously there was a picture before you even started the design of what it looks like. So it really is basic. You're not missing out on anything exciting. But yeah, please let me know if you found this video to be really informative and you liked this video. I'm not saying I'm going to do that kind of in-depth stuff on every video. But yeah, I just thought I'd mix it up a little bit, and let me know if you liked it. Once I've done this, I'm going to do 2 layers of top coat, and then that's it. So that's this design. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.